What's up, everybody? Joe White here. And yes, it looks like SmackDown is going back to 3 hours long after the first of the year. USA apparently likes to spend useless money and pay WWE for that third hour. So WWE would be fools if they didn't take the money for that third hour. Um, yeah, this really. What is WWE supposed to do? Tell them no? I've seen reports or not reports, but I've seen questions of why don't they put something else on in that third hour? Why don't they do that third hour on another night? Um, Here's the thing. If they put something else on in the third hour, then nobody's going to watch it and they're all going to turn off. And then USA is going to be like, why are we paying you for the third hour when you're not drawing as much, you're drawing about as much as if we were to put an episode of NCIS or CSI or something like that on. So that's why they have to have first run programming. I've also seen why not do a third hour on a different night, like revive Sunday Night Heat or something like that. Now, I would be all for that if they did Sunday Night Heat right and doesn't, it got to the point where Sunday Night Heat used to mean something. They would air it the hour before a pay per view or something like that. And it was great. King of the Ring 99 comes to mind when Rock, you know, cut that would cut a famous promo or his son, they would use that hour to hype up the pay-per-view. The problem is when you're doing pay-per-views on Saturdays, what are you going to have, Saturday Night Heat? And then you run into the thing of after a while it's just going to become another, you know, main event like show or whatever, and nobody's going to watch it, and then USA is going to pull it and we're back to square one. I you know I don't get it. I really don't get it. How they could want a third hour of this mess. Um, how could they be willing to pay WWE for this third hour? It's useless. It's completely freaking useless. Um, but yeah, it looks like it's going to come back. We're going to have 3 hour SmackDowns again. They're going to be long, drawn out, and boring, and filled with ads and all this mess. It's just ugh, ugh. That's all I can say is ugh. You know, I don't get, again, I just don't get why USA just doesn't air reruns of NCIS or you know, Criminal Minds or some stupid show like that, Law and Order. But apparently they want that first run programming, and WWE feels obliged to give it to them because hey, they're giving us the money for it, so we got to give them what they want. We'll be right back. When I come back, I'm going to talk about Chris Jericho. Is he coming back to WWE? Was he right to make the comments he made? We'll be right back.
I have everything you need for a great spaghetti dinner. All in one package, nothing to add. Chef Boyardee complete spaghetti dinner with meat sauce. I have spaghetti and a rich sauce with meat, even zesty grated cheese. Give me 15 minutes and I'll give you a real Italian dinner. Ah, perfect. Chef Boyardee complete spaghetti dinner.
What's in it for me? I get somebody else to help cook a meal for a change.
We asked the Rurik family to make one of their favorite Chef Boyardee pizzas.
One of the nice things about making your own is that you can make it exactly the way you want it, not the way that somebody else decides that they want to do it.
Sauce is just right.
I like the crust when it's thick.
I like the cheese.
And I just like eating it.
Mom's the one that really makes it great.
Chef Boyardee pizza. You make it great.
So yeah, Chris Jericho made the comment the other day on this podcast about how he was comparing TNA's Bound for Glory show with the ECW arena shows that AEW did, saying that TNA made their 7,000 people look really good while AEW made their 9,000 people look really crappy. And I tend to agree with him. if you look at the crane camera shots, which they were shooting from where the Eagle's Nest was, you can basically see that, there's pipe and drape everywhere. It looks really crappy. And I know what Tony Khan's thinking. Oh, my dad! I used to drag my dad or make my dad take me to ECW shows when I was a kid, so I'm hardcore. And I wanted it to look like that. But here's also the problem. You also did a residency in Chicago with a building that looked like Casa Bonita from South Park. The only thing missing were cliff divers in the background and people going through a haunted cave or whatever it is. Your shows never look good. Whether they solved the problem a little bit by stopping with the big arenas and going to the small arenas, but the problem is they make the small arenas look like shit. Ring of Honor, back when Sinclair owned it, I want to say it was when Jim Cornette was 2010, 2009. I went to a Ring of Honor show in um, Manassas, Virginia, and it was at an indoor soccer club. And AEW, or excuse me, Ring of Honor, well, now they're AEW, might as well be, but Ring of Honor would set up what they call pipe and drape, which is big, like metal racks with black sheets or fabric draped over top of them. And it makes it look like it's enclosed in. There's a famous story that Jim Cornette tells about the night in Belle Vernon, PA. Go look that up, where they did not have pipe and drape, and it looked like shit. But my point is, at least when the old Ring of Honor would pipe and drape a building, because they weren't drawing as many fans, they needed to look like they were in a small building. And on camera, it really did not look like they were in a small building. It looked like they were in a bigger building. But AEW sold out those shows at the ECW arena. They didn't need to do this pipe and drape stuff, but they did, and it made it look like shit. I don't get it. I don't get it. Jericho's 100% right about what he said. Check the turnstile count. There was maybe 6,000 people at Bound for Glory. But those 6,000 people, they made it look like they filled that goddamn building up. Now, where Jericho gets this wrong is that he is speaking about this while he's still under contract to AEW. So, technically, he's disparaging the company. Comments detrimental, actions detrimental. You see, sports figures get fined and suspended for this stuff all the time. When comments detrimental to the team, actions detrimental to the team. This is, I hate to defend the AEW, as you all know, but this is detrimental and defamation of AEW as a brand. It makes them look like crap. Which Jericho, let me tell you something, Chris. They don't need your comments to make them look like shit. They have a perfectly fine job of doing that all on their own, Chris. You only, it's like, thank you, Captain Obvious. That's what I want to say. Whether or not Jericho goes back to WWE, this is something that I wanted to talk about for a while because, me personally, I have up until CM Punk came along, Jericho was my favorite wrestler. And then Punk kind of took over that mantle, in my view. But the stuff he's done with AEW was just meh. The whole Judas effect thing, I hate that finisher. I'd much rather him do a Walls of Jericho or a Lion Salt. I'm glad he's lost the weight. He posted a picture of himself looking all buff now. But I have not really enjoyed his work. The whole inner circle and the learning tree and all this and that. And I'm just like, dude, okay, you've had your fun. You've done the stupid shit for the sake of doing stupid shit. The fans have turned on you, telling you to please retire. it's time for you to go. Much like it was Cody Rhodes' time to go, and he was 10 times more over when he went back. Jericho's going to be 10 times more over when he goes back. When does he come back? Now, here's the thing. A lot of people are saying Royal Rumble. I think it's going to be before the Royal Rumble because there are rumors going around about, with the Royal Rumble being in Saudi Arabia, not as many people are going to watch it. Therefore, they either have to do one of two things. They have to make the show so damn good and do so many surprises on the show that they have to overbook it to death to the point where people are going to be like, man, I got to go back and watch this on ESPN or my VPN or whatever. Um, or the rumor is that the the last show that they do, and I can't remember if it's that Friday or if they're going to tape it or if it's the Friday before. Um, they go to Saudi, so it would be two Fridays before the Rumble. I think they're in Newark, New Jersey. Um, they're going to announce their surprises or unveil their surprises on SmackDown, so that people from the U.S. see this and go, "Oh, I got to watch the Rumble." And Jericho could be one of those surprises. Um, Either way, people's minds are already made up because we still got this whole blood money, oh, Saudi, here you go, Saudi. I don't like the fact that they go over there either because the fans just, they don't even know what they're looking at. They regurgitate and chant what they hear on TV every week because they think it's cool. You're talking about a country that barely even has paved roads. Yet they're doing this Riyadh season thing, and I don't care. I don't care. Call me xenophobic if you want to. If a nuclear bomb landed tomorrow in Saudi Arabia, I would not bat an eyelash about it. I'd feel sorry for all the people that were there, but I mean, honestly, who's going to miss that fucking country? And just like, everybody's sitting there going, well, this year in Vegas is the last year that we'll have WrestleMania for 2 years because they're going to Saudi for the next one for 43. And it's like, yeah, okay. I don't think they expect you to sit there and go, oh, we're going to drive up tourism. I don't think Saudi Arabia is going to really care if you hop a plane and go over there for the show or not. This show is not designed really to drive up tourism in Saudi Arabia. The Saudi Arabia thing has never been a, it's never intended to be a vehicle to drum up tourism. It's all there, whether it be them going over there, UFC, the Live Golf thing. It's all been to put the wool over your eyes and try to make you forget that they kill reporters who don't talk bad about who talk bad about them. They do it to make their country look good, so that people will go, "Oh, Saudi Arabia is so cool," and then maybe you'll want to go over there. Don't go over there. If you go over there, you may not come back. Just like Mexico, I have no urge to set foot across the American border into a country that is ran by cartels. Yeah, I'm sure Mexico City and Arena, Mexico is a fine place to visit, Dave. I ain't going over there because there's no guarantee that I'll come back. So yeah, it's just a one-off deal. I don't expect them to go back there ever again for another WrestleMania. Let them have their day. The only thing that makes me laugh about the whole ordeal is that Saudi Arabia got one before the UK did, as far as a WrestleMania goes. That makes me laugh because for decades it's, hey mate, all you go to bring WrestleMania over here. Why do I sound like a damn Australian? Um, but it's always like, hello, you go, are we going to get a Mania? Nope. Not this year, not next year. A country which barely has paved roads, barely has working vehicles, barely has running water, and the running water that it does have, you can't drink it or wash with it. They get a WrestleMania before you do, you wankers. Ha ha, hippity ha. Ugh. Anyway, do I think Jericho's going back? Yes. Do I think it's going to be at the Rumble? Yes. But do I think he'll be 10 times over? Yes. Maybe he'll start a group like he did in AEW. That could be cool. I think we need to get some factions going here. This Vision thing clearly is tanking. Nobody cares about Bronson Reed. Braun Breaker's the standout. Logan Paul joining is a fluke. Anyway, let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below, and we'll see you down the road.